Hello and welcome to another episode. If you've not watched my previous video on ruthless mobsters, I've covered a similar story to the one today on Giovanni Bruscia, who has been released from prison after having served 26 years behind bars in Italy. In today's episode, we're going to cover another ruthless mobster. One of the most feared mob hitmen during the 1960s, he was reputed to have murdered at least 26 men. This is the story of Joseph the Animal Barboza. Barboza was born on September 30th, 1932 to Portuguese parents from Lisbon, Portugal. He was born in the old whaling city of New Bedford, Massachusetts. His father was an alcoholic and semi-professional boxer. He was also an ex-convict. His mother was a seamstress. Joseph's father was a constant womanizer who would eventually abandon his wife and 3 children. In other aspects of his life, it was noted that he was an excellent cook and would often cook for his friends and family. He would cook authentic Portuguese cuisine and would even later graduate from cooking class as a sauce, vegetable and roast chef, learning to cook French cuisine mostly with wines. However, the life of crime was not far behind. Barboza had his own little gang of strong-armed robbers who would often steal from local businesses. At 13 years old, Barboza was arrested for breaking and entering and found himself behind bars for the very first time. He was sent off to Lehman State Reform School. Lehman was a very strict and religious environment. Barboza would later claim to have received regular beatings during his time there. However, while at the school, he would pick up another skill that will help him in becoming a ruthless informer, and this was boxing. After the reform school, Barboza was in and out of prison from the years during the 1950s. He became a local household name in 1953 after leading a prison break. He and 6 other inmates broke loose and went on a 20-hour crime spree. He was caught in East Boston the next day and sent back to Wellpool State Prison. During his time there, he developed some contacts in organized crime. After doing his time, Barboza decided to concentrate on boxing. He knocked out his first opponent in the 3rd round and fought a total of 11 times over the next 3 years. His nickname in the ring was the Baron. He finished his boxing career with a record of 8 wins and 3 losses. His boxing skills would eventually be noticed by local mob guys who began taking great interest into Barboza. They put him to work as a loan shark and a debt collector on the behalf of the mob, in particular the Patriarca crime family under Raymond Patriarca. He would earn the nickname The Animal after an altercation at the Revere, Massachusetts club. Barboza was drunk and an older Italian patron who did not enjoy Barboza's crude behavior told him so. Barboza, clearly upset, approached the man and slapped him hard across the face. Patriarca underboss Henry Tamilio, who was seated not far away, shouted angrily at Barboza, "I don't want you to ever slap that man, and I don't want you to ever touch anybody with your hands again." Barboza, now brooding at the bar, suddenly leaned over and bit the man's ear. "I didn't touch him with my hands," he snarled. It is stated that in other sources that he chewed off the man's cheek. Such stories added to the persona as a mob enforcer. Often people would pay up as they did not want to end up on the wrong side of Barboza. His reputation would further be solidified during the McLean-McKinley War, where it is believed that Barboza killed up to 10 men during the conflict. However, the relationship with the mob would soon come to an end, as Barboza was arrested in 1966 on weapon charges, and the bail was set to $100,000. He expected his mafia friends to pitch in and bail him out. However, Raymond Patriarca and the family were ready to let Barboza go. Barboza, clearly upset at the mob's betrayal, sent 2 of his henchmen, Arthur Brazzo and Tommy DePresco, around to collect. In a desperate move, they were told to go to all the local mob hangouts and collect a contribution. It worked, as the men collected around $60,000. When Raymond Pratskia found out about the move, he ordered the men to be killed. The men were lured to the nightlight lounge where they were killed and robbed of the money they had already raised. With very little to lose, Barboza decided that he would cooperate with the FBI and testify against the hierarchy of the New England Mafia. Raymond Patriarca was sent to prison for the rest of his life after Barboza testified against him to his involvement in the 1966 murder of the bookie Willie Maffeo. Barboza was given a 1-year term, including time served. He was placed on parole in March of 1969 and relocated to Santa Rosa, California, where he enrolled in culinary art school. He kept killing people in San Francisco and in 1971 was convicted of second-degree murder. However, this would be his downfall. When he was released in 1975, the East Coast Mafia got wind of his location, as Barboza was set up by an associate under the pretense of a meeting. As Joe left the house, he was gunned down by Joe Russo. He emptied a shotgun into him 4 times, putting an end to Joe the Animal Barboza.